Gather, veterans. It's time to join the fight. The long war begins.
This is The Long War. I'm Robbie B. And joining me once again are my partners in crime, Kenny Boucher, Mike Haspil, and Wyatt Turk. What's up, guys?
Yo, dog, great to be here.
Greetings and felicitations.
What's up, everybody?
Wyatt, I need you to look at me when I'm talking. When I'm doing my intro, I really need you. I just need you right
Rob
now.
did a very dramatic pause there for you.
I was waiting, and he's just like,
I'm not gonna lock
looking at the
eyes
ground
with you over the internet on front of God in the world. Like, it can't be. No.
Fucking.
You afraid of it?
with your lizard man soul
Lizard
stealing
hypnosis.
Yeah, dude. You're gonna eat me. Like, unhinge your jaw. I'm like, I don't want to be the mouse in this
like Japanese
snake mouse
horror
scenario.
movie. Fucking unhinging him.
Ooh, I've seen.
I don't
those.
know. I like you know. One does not stare into the abyss because it might.
The abyss stares back.
Yeah, I'm not gonna tempt fate like that.
It's been an exciting day. Very exciting.
It's been kind of
can't
the
remember.
most emotional day of the last 91 days of my life. When it comes to 40K, that is.
Right now, there's been lots of new information about 9th edition. Lots of new information retail wise. Like when now we know it's happening. It's coming out. It's gonna be new previews.
To anyone just listening to this, to which we refer is a bunch of pictures appeared on the internet that referenced points, core rule mechanics. They appear to be cell phone shots of a possible 9th edition main rulebook that someone got their hands on. And the internet is ablaze.
Yeah, I mean, like the story about the Cowboys of Ram Ranch is super compelling.
It really is. It's awesome.
There's some salty 4chan trolls out there.
I mean,
That's all I'm saying.
Did you expect anything else? Like, come on.
No, that's
There's a certain type of person that trolls those forums all the time, and
there's a reason Reddit's Reddit and 4chan's 4chan.
yeah.
We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, you should already know what we're talking about.
Somebody asked what happened to Jacket Clubs Gaming. See, they're worried about you, Wyatt. They're worried.
Oh yeah.
I don't say it. See, it's news.
I shut down my gaming channel so I could translate those fans over to my OnlyFans page because the money's
Oh my God. You had me like I just told people nothing happened to Jacket Club's painting. It's still around. And then when you say that, I was with you. I was like, oh man, I didn't know about that.
What's he doing?
Until you said OnlyFans. I'm like, oh, you got me.
Subs get snaps.
Oh yeah, I've got one of those tiers on my Patreon page.
Kenny snaps.
Shirtless Snapchats. Only got one subscriber, Greenleaf Terrain Studios on Twitch.
I think he subbed to all of ours.
Yeah, that's what he likes. Like, I'm on public server, man. Give it you on.
I was thinking of doing this new app called Cat Snaps.
Cat snaps. But that's called TikTok, or at least where I'm on TikTok. So I've been on. Let me give you a TikTok update, if I may.
Okay.
So I've been on TikTok now for several weeks, based on our last conversations we've had as a group. And I, getting to understand the algorithm, how you curate the content based on follows and engagement. So like, if you just keep swiping like endlessly, it only knows that like you're a dude and how old you are. So it's going to show you a certain type of content until you start actually clicking things and like things that you actually like and interacting. It won't really start curating. So I've gone down a journey on these different TikToks. I have that. I find like, and so because I followed her, or like I liked her, something like about those. And so now it only knows a little bit about me, right? It's like, oh, well, give nothing but that, nothing but this. And I'm like, But then this is my TikTok experience. Let me explain this to you. So I open that bitch up, start swiping around. I get pictures of chinchillas, hedgehogs, frogs. I've got this bearded dragon named Margot that I'm totally into right now. That's like 90%. So when everyone's talking about like the stuff they're seeing on TikTok, I'm like, all I get is an endless barrage of insanely adorable animals doing things you've never seen that animal doing before in the cutest possible way. So if you ever just need a break from real life, I just swipe through TikTok, man. That's my life.
I hate to break it to you, but I have some military intel guys that have told me, like, do not use TikTok. So, sorry, but Kenny, now the Chinese government literally knows everything about you,
as opposed to the American government already knowing everything about me.
I mean,
I'm just saying,
lesser of two evils in that sense. But yeah, like, I'm not going to get on TikTok.
No, I am caught up with all that. The problem is like I'm already inundated in every other social media platform in the world, and I'm pretty sure Facebook had been sold my information to China years ago. So
I have to be LoJacked, like GPS, to post anything to Facebook. Like, it has to know where I am at all times. It's very needy.
Yeah. When China got my information from TikTok, they're like, oh God, we have a document on this guy already. We bought it from Facebook years ago.
Yeah, there's no chance he's going to be a politician. So. You seen his search histories?
Oh God. So this was, I mean, whew.
Yes.
Yeah, the true people are like, talking about different social media in the thing. I'm like, the true thing is I'm not even getting a phone anymore. I'm going to have 2 cans strung together with a piece of string, and that's it. And then maybe smoke signals and drums, and that'll be it.
Yeah. I mean, the way I look at it is like, if I'm on fire, I'm not going to do something that's going to make me more on fire. I'm going to try to put out that fire as much as possible. And so in this scenario, TikTok is like pouring gasoline on my head as it's on fire. Not going to do that.
Unless you see a chinchilla doing a little dance wearing sunglasses.
Nope. Not worth being on fire.
And then suddenly it's all good.
Yep. I'm going to send ravens from now on. So I'll be like, Wyatt, I'm sending a raven to you.
What is it that the Amish use? It's like some sort of, I just heard about this recently. It's some sort of like sodium on, it's some sort of chemical.
Do they not just like send letters to each other?
Yeah, let's say, don't they just use the US mail?
No, for light. Like, they're not allowed to have electricity. So it's
candles?
some sort of chemical concoction that like.
Oh, it's probably like a sodium lamp or something.
Yeah, it like reacts with the sunlight and it makes it more bright.
Well, that's where the term like limelight came from too. Like they would use lime to do stuff. So
does the sodium and water just explode?
Sodium and water explode.
Generally is bad.
Do that.
Yeah,
sodium in anything.
Don't share that at home, kids.
I don't know what it is. Maybe it's magnesium. I don't know. I'm not very informed on this matter.
I'm pretty sure they use candles and shit.
It's candle.
Candles and fireplaces and oil lamps.
They can have cell phones, but apparently,
if like the guy down the block gets a carrier pigeon, like everybody's really jealous and they're like, oh man.
Well, I guess there's like, from what I've heard, is there's like divisions of the Amish.
Yeah, so you got boomer Amish who use oil lamps, and you got the zoomer Amish who use the fucking new hotness. Yeah.
No, like the upstate New York Amish, like they can have cell phones, but they can only use technology by proxy. So like they're like, they might own a cell phone, but they're like, they'll go to their neighbor's house and be like, hey, can you use this phone and call a ride for me? And they're like, yeah, okay, sure. And
but how do they take the ride though?
Oh.
Do they have to get somebody else to take the ride for them?
Masturbation with more steps.
Yeah.
But like the Pennsylvania Amish are like, nah, that's not cool. That's what I've heard.
You gotta jerk your own dick.
Okay, that's interesting.
I get in random conversations with people and I'm like, huh, okay. What?
All right, fuck it. Let's do a would you rather.
Oh, okay. So I got a good idea. So you guys remember some of our olden goldies, right? Our all-time greats, like the P-jar or the fart helmet.
Mason
right?
P-jar.
So do you guys remember your answers for the P-jar fart helmet dilemma?
I think I chose farts.
I think I chose P-jar.
I'm pretty sure I chose P-jar.
You chose P-jar.
Like
okay, so we remember our answers, right? So we needed to get that out of the way. So would you rather have the opposite of the answer you chose happen to you, or your original answer happen to your loved one, like your significant other?
She gets a P-jar.
Ladies don't pass gas.
Rob, I think we need to have a talk about basic human biology.
No, they don't.
Everybody poops.
Well, remember, it doesn't matter what you think. The genie makes it so.
Yeah.
Oof.
Hate to break it to you.
So I will instantly choose Bonet gets a P chart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then it becomes a movement.
Yeah.
See, if you only have one person with a P-jar, he's just a weirdo. If you have a lot of people with P-jars, it's a movement.
It's a trend.
Yeah. I pick that up. I mean, we had lots of similarities to vegans with the P-jar lifestyle, so I could see it.
Yeah, I'm gonna come up with a kombucha line. Sustainable, recyclable kombucha mason jars that can be like your new decorative mason P jars. Like it's gonna be a whole thing.
You can have his and her P jars.
Yeah. There's a whole.
It's good. Yeah.
It's like Haspil said. This is a movement.
Yeah, I feel like it has to be a movement at that point because then
I'm gonna go for like the super high tech Apple P jars with the UV light that sterilize everything.
That's what I'm saying. We get to go hard on this. Okay, I'm no longer. I've been a weirdo for like a year with this only guy walking around with this fucking P jar.
Yeah, we'll go all freaking like Waterworld. It'll process it and be drinkable in 24 hours.
Oh yeah.
We'll go Survivor Man, Bear Grylls.
There is only the P jar now. Like,
well, yeah, the Bear Grylls P jar doesn't process.
You just drink it.
You just drink it.
Isn't that what the Marines or Space Marines backpack do or whatever? Doesn't it like?
Yeah, I think recycling of bodily waste is one of the things that they do. On top of being a nuclear reactor, which I'm a little sad they don't talk about more. I'm like, what happens if you crack the reactor in a Space Marine? Like, you just explode like a
diarrhea, just diarrhea
warhead. Like, well, that probably too if they hit that section. What I'm talking about is like, in Fallout, if you shoot a car enough times, they have a nuclear reactor in the engine and it can cause it to go critical, right? So why hasn't that ever happened to a Space Marine?
Or why can't they use it? Like, all right, all you Marines, give me your backpacks. We got to blow this big thing up.
I guess if you have enough graphite in the backpack.
Because they couldn't power their armor. They'd have to get out of their armor.
Oh, no, it's because there are BMK reactors. That's why.
Precisely.
It all comes full circle. Didn't Scandinavia just pick up like a blip of radiation and Russia's like, nah.
I don't know.
Didn't that just happen?
I believe that did just happen.
I think that just happened. I don't know. There's so much craziness happened in the past 6 months. I can't even keep up.
There was somebody, and I shared this on Facebook. Somebody took the guy from Ant-Man that tells all the crazy stories, and it's like him bringing Paul Rudd up.
Oh, it's so good.
Oh yeah, it's like an ongoing meme because every time something else happens, they add to it.
And he's just like,
long.
wait.
It's really long. It's like,
he's like, and that was just July, or that was just January.
And so he's like, well, and Paul Rudd's like, well, at least the justice system still works. And he's like, damn it. He starts telling him about that. And then I read another meme that made me laugh really hard, that hindsight is 2020 was actually a warning from a time traveler.
Yeah.
And we misunderstood what it was saying.
Yeah.
Oof.
I think one of my favorite new ones is the Renaissance African coffin meme, where it's these two guys in full plate, and one guy like smashes this dude down, and he's like, "Tell me how the grass tastes, little man." And then it switches to a medieval art piece that starts animating, and they play the coffin song, but it's with like lutes and harps and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh my god! All right, let's do news.
Got a few things. It's not too super crazy. We did talk about LVO 2021 tickets going on sale. Obviously, there's a big caveat about, they're basically planning it to be able to take care of, people if there's a problem, if COVID's still a thing, which it might be by then. But they're trying to go forward and plan it with the, hey, this is happening, but we got this other thing in play just in case. So buy your tickets, they'll take care of you. You can read the whole thing over on Frontline. I think we got a post going up on Spiky tomorrow or something. General's Handbook 2021. And if you're in the Sigmar, will be out. What is it? Go on pre-order this week. So it'll be delivered next week. And then, of course, we all know new Indominus box will go on pre-order next week, along with chapter approved. I think there was a new journal that looked kind of cool. I don't know. And some open war card mission pack game stuff for 9th edition 40K. Looks pretty sweet. Also, Frontline has their new size mats, the 44 by 60 mats. I think they're on sale too, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah,
last week I ordered one and a terrain pack because it's probably going to be another 2 or 3 months before we can play Warhammer at the game store. So I'm like, screw it. I'm just going to get a table. I'm going to have games here.
Yeah, I think.
Sorry, Rob. What's really going to happen is like your gaming table is going to turn into a Mike Haspil workshop table.
Workbench.
And which all of your dope shit's just on it all the time, and you just look at it and it brings you joy.
Well, I mean, no, I'm prepping for this. I mean, I got my new cabinets to hold on my 40K shit, and I got folding tables because like the space, I have space for the table, but I don't have space for the table to be there all the time. That's the thing. Is so it's like, if I'm going to have a buddy come over and we'll play a couple of games, like when we're done, we're going to break that shit down because like. So
are you getting that table that they'd made that was 4x6, or are you getting some IKEA table, or I'm interested.
So I bought some tables on Amazon that are 60 inches long by 30 inches wide. Because there's no table in existence that I have found that is 60 by 44. There's just not. So it was always going to have to be like, I either make my own table, which physically I can't do, or I have to buy a custom table, which I'm not spending like $3,000.
No.
Or I can get like two $80 folding tables, right? And I didn't get I got ones that are not like white picnic tables. I got ones that are like, I think they're actually outdoor tables, and they're made to like be weather resistant, so they'll last a really long time, and they're brown like my cabinets, so it won't like
nice. Okay.
So it'll be like a 60 by a 60 gaming space. So we'll have like space in front of us for like cards and like a casualty pile and stuff like that. But then like when I'm done, it's just like that shit's folding down and going to the closet because I can't have the 60 by 60 table like sitting in my dining area like all the time. It's just not big enough.
No. I did see on Squadmarks, I think it was their Instagram, they bought some black masking tape off of Amazon, and I think it was 2 inches thick, and he just literally stuck it to his mats and boxed it out 44 by 60. Some people were like cutting them and stuff. I was like, there's no way I'm going to cut my mats.
No, don't cut your mats. Don't cut them.
It's a very average tack, stickiness, masking tape. And I think it was like $5 plus shipping. It might have run me like $8. I don't know. Super affordable. And I just laid it all out just like he did in his video. Now you do want to measure from the center of your table, because not all of these cuts of these mats are 100% 72 inches. They're usually just a little off, like maybe a 1/4 inch, maybe an 1/8, whatever. So just measure from the center and just put the black tape down. It looks great. It's very striking. You get like this nice little area to kind of put some stuff. And I did it on mine. They look great, and it sticks there if you roll it up. And then if you're like, whatever, you can just take it off and it doesn't hurt it at all. These things, the mats are pretty resilient. You can spill.
Mike Haspil would never destroy something he bought.
Nope.
Oh, no, I just don't. Okay, here's my opinion on this. And I have already talked about this. I really think people are overreacting on this table size thing. I really do. I don't think it's that big a deal. And it's like people are like, oh, the table's tiny now. It's like 12 inches smaller in one direction. Who gives a damn? It doesn't really make a difference. And if you use gaffer's tape, you can just mark it off.
Yep.
And I'm like, if you insist on playing the 60 by 44 instead of 72 by 48, just mark it off and you get 12-inch deployment zone. That's, or not deployment zone, but staging zone.
Just
put your crap in your
put your aids there.
Which is fine. But I'm like, I just don't think it's going to be that big a deal. I would never take a mat that is 72 by 48 and cut it. To me, that sounds crazy. Just mark it off.
What
are you going to do in 10th edition when they go back to 72 by 48?
Oof.
Right? It's like you're going to glue them bitches back up, dog.
Yeah. Well, all the Titanicus players out there already know that one of the best parts about playing Titanicus is that extra space on the side of your 4x6 table to put all your command terminals, all your dice, all your templates.
God.
Yeah, no,
pretty much best game ever.
I mean, Rob is right. If we're going to insist on playing the 60 by 44, right? Just mark off that extra space and use it. We all use game aids. We all have rule books. We all have stuff that we're usually stacking on a chair, which is why I was like, I really don't think that they're going to gain a whole lot of room in a tournament. I would rather, when I go to a tournament, I would rather have space on a table instead of balancing crap on my chair. You know what I mean? I have my rule books. I have my dice bag. I have my measuring tape. All this nonsense is balancing on a chair when I could just have it in a 12-inch section off to the side.
Right. That was my thinking as well. Is like most of the time in tournament spaces, they have already mathematically figured out the square footage of like the maximum number of tables they can put in there and have everything like where it can be comfortable. Right. So I don't think we're going to see LVO like squish all of their rows together where it's only like 2 feet between tables just to add in like another 200 tables for these 44 by 60 mats. Like it's just going to be a more comfortable gaming space.
I mean, I would be all about, I'm all about the extra space, but not at like a comfort kind of sacrifice. No, not at all.
Well, okay, here's the other thing too. When you're having an event at those venues, like the reason that they can't move those tables closer together is there's like fire code stuff. Like they have to have like a certain number of feet between those rows of tables so that people can get out of there if there's an emergency, right? Or you get like sued like crazy. So they're not doing that. It's going to be the same layout of tables. They're just going to have smaller game boards where it's more comfortable to play and have place to put your stuff.
Not be all nut to butt. Yeah, I feel you on that. So let's see. I am actually getting a picture of this. Somebody was asking in the chat that I'll share here in the chat here in a second. So the AOS General's Handbook going on sale for $35. Horus Heresy hardcover Santorini book for $30. Some more hardcover books, paperback books. But if you're into Necromunda, there's also a Soulless Fury paperback coming out. Probably the big thing on the specialist game side is Blood Bowl has a couple teams coming out. Underworld Creepers, Mid and High Maulers, $42 each, the new price. There's a new Spike Journal, issue 9, it looks like. New Old World Underworld Pitch for $47 and an Alliance Team card pack for $27. So just kind of softballing few releases in there before we actually get into that pre-release window for the new edition, new 9th edition 40K. Wyatt, do you remember when did they say that app was going to drop? Was it going to be on pre-order day or when the game comes out?
I don't know if they ever said. Like they were very.
They said day one.
I thought it said pre-order.
I'm going to look it up.
Yeah, I remember reading something that said it drops on the pre-order day.
I mean, it would be.
I remember that too.
Article that they announced it with.
And I just watched that stream with Brad Chester, his Facebook Live, and he strongly indicated all in the same day. So I think that means pre-order day.
Because I could see where they would want people to play around with it. I swear it was pre-order day.
So one thing I'm still wondering about is they said that like the app is going to have like 9th edition codexes in it. And so I'm wondering if it's just like not going to have much info in there until they start coming out with 9 ed books. Or if they actually did take the time to put all the 8th ed stuff in there and then have to like revert all of it.
It would just be 9th.
Yeah. So I'm like, what happens if my
all the 8th edition books, but with the 9th edition info?
I mean, possible, but like, I think that just like, if we just kind of like do some forensics on this, if we go back and take every piece of information we have, which is like, this was supposed to be already in March, like all this is supposed to have already happened. Mm-hmm. And then going with like Rob saying like, it takes 3 years and him providing examples of like how it's like always a 3-year plan. This has already been the fucking plan. The app was already loaded. We were supposed to be firmly in 9th. So like, I think they're double down and just be like, yo, it's 9th edition. Doesn't matter if it's pre-order or not. Like
that's what I'm thinking. Is that you're going to have your 8th edition books in there as far as the books we already have, but the values and all the rules will be adjusted for 9th edition. So they will be the new rules. They won't be otherwise. What's the point? You're gonna have it for 2 weeks. 8th edition.
And we don't even know how the app works, but like if it's an army builder,
a lot of data entry.
Right. If it's an army builder, what I'm thinking is like in the books themselves, especially like the old shit to the new shit. Really, all that needs to be scraping the numbers is the actual list building part of the app.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, you can have old ass 8th edition shit in there, just like it doesn't matter because, like, when you to do anything with it, you have to go into the list building parameters. That's the thing that they're directly feeding the.
So it could be like list builder with points.
Well,
hopefully, we hope it's points, and like the core books of 40K.
I also have to go back and read it, but I think they said there's going to be content you could purchase in there, what led me to believe it was going to be like the Sigmar one, like the Azir, where you can actually buy the battle tomes.
For sure. Right. All I'm saying is like it's not going to be as like vastly of a crazy data dump as they need to do. Cause like, they literally only like one major part of the app is like where they have to be like live updating. Like they have somebody whose job who manages the app. Programmers are like making sure that shit is up to date.
And that's it. And that's a thing too. Like they were pretty on top of that because back in, what was it, before Memorial Day, was it this year? No, last year. Man, I don't even know when it is. Whenever the new Sylvaneth came out, they had it pre-loaded to go live in the Azir app, and they had pushed back the release of the Sylvaneth. So like for that weekend, you could get all the new points for the Sylvaneth models because they had already updated to the Azir.
Wasn't that the book release where they had like a customs issue in like Germany or someplace?
Yeah, it was the whole China embargo thing. And then, so it got pushed back, I don't know, a couple weeks, months, whatever, but they were already out. And the stuff went live on Apple too, on iTunes or iBooks, whatever. So you could actually buy the book for like a weekend until they realized,
I would literally, not figuratively, but like actually literally suck a hobo's dick for this fucking app right now. Sorry, that's not PC.
I want somebody to clip that for posterity on the off chance that this is a power level based list builder, and we all fucking hate it.
What I mean is the app that we're talking about right now.
No, you already said
you don't get. Yeah, I did say it in the context of the conversation we've just had.
All right.
That is what I said. I would have cardinal relations with a Bohemian gentleman in exchange for this fucking app in my hands right now, and still pay for it monthly.
It's the wish list.
I think it'll be free. It'll be freezies like the first month or something, and then it'll be like, all right, well, to continue getting updates, $1 or whatever. The Azir app's only $1. And you can just do it.
$9.99. I'll pay it more than fucking I pay Hulu, dog. I don't give a fuck.
Oh, calm down. Calm down. Let's not give them any ideas. So yeah, I would just pump the brakes on that one because your app's great for $1. Like it's pretty legit. So that's basically all the releases. I imagine it's going to get kind of dry, but we'll get a lot more content as we start seeing, the bigger, wider previews come out and people getting their review copy of the rule books. And there's still stuff we haven't seen yet that hasn't been leaked, but
yeah, the chapter approved stuff. I mean, like right now, it's like what I really want to see is that chapter approved book with all the points values and the grand tournament book. See what they got in there for us, because that's going to be like some big stuff that's going to really say how we play games in match play.
It's going to be hype. Look, guys, we have a big COVID-19 format podcast. We already pre-recorded if you listen to this in real time. We are going to cover
There's one more thing.
No, definitely. I'm taking us to Mike Haspil's corner. So
okay.
I'm taking us to you. And so we're going to do it. And it's going to be a perfectly structured top 3 biggest changes. Like no deviations, nothing. It's going to be super concise. But before that, Haspil's corner, the legend, author of Graveyard Shift. What's up, man?
Yeah, I just wanted to remind people that the Steam summer sale kicked off this week, and I dropped a lot of money, but you can pick up a ton of GW games since we're not getting together to play tournaments anytime soon. You know,
True.
You can pick up a lot of these games. You can pick up Sanctus Reach, which is a better game than people give it credit for. Just added a ton of new content. You can pick up the DLC. Some of those DLCs are going for like 75 cents on the sale. Gladius is another good. That's a kind of a 4X civilization type game, right? Sanctus Reach. Lord Gunther just talked about it. It's $8.99, $8. It's a really good Space Wolves.
Now I know how your brain works. You said $8.99, and then immediately after that said it was $8. That's how GW gets you.
It's $8.
That's how GW.
$8.
Yeah, it's $8. Everybody knows.
And it has an Aquila discount, so it's about Space Wolves, so it's really free.
Speaking of Space Wolves, tell them about the shirts. Tell them about the shirts, Haspil.
Oh my goodness, yeah. So they launched. I think it was launched before today, but I only saw it today.
Right.
They have like stuff I've been asking for since 4th edition. They have T-shirts, they have bags, they have hats, they have all kinds of stuff on this Warhammer gear thing. It's pretty crazy.
You're kind of both right. It was already there, but they added a bunch of 9th edition stuff to it recently.
Haspil has been preaching this since you went to Warhammer World all those years ago, and you were like, they didn't have a keychain for me to buy, a fucking windbreaker.
No,
nothing.
I went and made the Hajj to Warhammer World, and then everything that was there was stuff that I could get either online or at my local GW. And I was like, nah, son, like you guys need to know how to, when you go to Disney World, you shouldn't be able to buy everything that you can get at the Disney store, right? You go to Disney World, you get ponchos, you get hats, you get lunch boxes, you get all this stuff. So when I went to Warhammer World, I was expecting like there's going to be T-shirts and something, hats, keychains,
like a keychain that said, I just went to Warhammer World. Get the fuck out of here.
I'm looking
they had nothing.
I'm looking at this website right now, and I'm pleasantly surprised at the cost of these T-shirts. Like
$23, I think.
Yeah,
for like normal people size.
I mean, I was definitely going into this being like, how overpriced are these piece of shit T-shirts going to be? And I'm like, oh, look at this.
Yeah, they're
$20.
How long they last? It's anybody's guess.
Well, I mean, I know a lot with direct-to-garment printing these days, and the technology is there. It's pretty good. It's not like the old days. Like I would expect them to be at the high end of direct-to-garment printing.
I still have one of your shirts you made from like 3 years ago, and it's pretty top notch. I wash it inside out, and
I got shirts it's some pretty good technology, and not every company is the same. But like I imagine GW understands the luxury nature of this, and
yeah,
I'm pretty happy about it. Like someone in chat was like patiently waiting for Kenny's new wolf shirt because I'm stacking up on t-shirt designs myself for my swag shop. Might as well go get GWs because here's the thing. I'm unable to actually add new products to my swag shop right now. Due to COVID-19, they let me sell what I have, but while they're securing their back orders, they're not letting you add new products based on popular items, like AKA men's t-shirts. Like I can't add one. So I'm back, which made me sad because I discovered that information today. And I'm like about 80% done with my new Totally Not a Plague Marine design right now. And I'm like, oh, this is going to be the sickest fucking shirt ever. And I'm like, let me just, so go to GW's, go to Warhammer Gear or whatever it's called and get their hype shit.
Well, that totally not Custody shirt.
I'm supposed to do it, not a Custodians. I'm supposed to do it, not a fucking Space Wolf, not a Necron. Like I got so many.
You haven't even done an Ultramarine yet.
Look, there's only 24 factions, Kenny.
And I'm back in the mood. I'm drawing a little comic book about my dog right now. Like, so I'm like sketching like every day. I got my Wacom tablet out here drawing pictures. Like, I'm like, this is going to be a hype. And they just hit me with that. So now I don't want to draw anymore. So fuck it.
Cool.
Oh, that's it.
You understand? It's like writing, Mike. Like now it's like, fuck it. It's ruined. I can't do it.
That happens. Yeah.
Can't fucking draw.
That definitely happens.
These days.
So the Steam summer sale.
Yeah. So jumping back on that Steam summer sale, right? There are a surprising amount of Games Workshop based games on there. Now, some of them I would definitely watch the reviews because some of them are notoriously not good. But like Battlefleet Gothic is a great game. Space Hulk Tactics and Space Hulk the Deathwing, the first person shooter one. Great game. Lots of fun with multiple friends, because then it starts to get real loud, like Left 4 Dead or Vermintide. Vermintide is an amazing game. All these games some of them are more than 60% off. And especially like if you have like Warhammer Total War or something like that, all these DLCs are dirt cheap right now. You can just pick them up. So I just bought them. I scooped them up and everything. And apparently they added some kind of tournament mode to Sanctus Reach. I haven't investigated that yet. But like there's Blood Bowl League still going on. There's all kinds of stuff that you can do with these games. Oh,
yeah. Blood Bowl, online Blood Bowl, using Blood Bowl 2 as a rabid fan base.
Yeah. Mike, so it doesn't, just because you can't play in person doesn't mean you can still play.
Are you going to financially recover from your video game binge?
No, I'm not. Because in one of the games, I made a mistake. I told Wyatt about this. I made a critical error. And it was, there's a game out there called Command. And I'm trying to think of it has a subtitle. Modern Operations. That's what it is. Command Modern Operations, right? So I got this game. It looks phenomenal. It looks really, really good. And I picked it up, and normally it is $120 game. So that should tell you something right away.
Wow.
It's basically like a Blue Force tracker. Like
that is what it is. And it is, if you guys know what that is, it is extremely detailed. And so I bought the game for half price, essentially, on the Steam summer sale. And it was still like a bajillion dollars. But I had already spent a bajillion dollars buying all these DLCs and all these other stuff for other games. I bought the new Doom. I bought Halo. Finally, I get to play Halo.
Nice.
So that'll be fun. And so I picked up all that stuff. And then I booted up Command Modern Operations. I was super excited for it. And it has like a billion tutorials. And I was like, okay, well, let me do the first one. And it drills down to this airfield in Israel, like down to 200 aircraft that are on here. And you can change the loadout of each aircraft. And I was like, I do not have time to play this game. But it looks really, really good. But it is like, I'm like, dude, I'm jumping into 30 minutes of like, Call of Duty. I could play Halo for 30 minutes or something. I do not. I was like, when I win the lottery, I will play Command Modern Operations.
You're going to need to win the lottery to come back from that investment.
Then someday you'll play The Witcher, which you also.
Someday I'll play Witcher 3. Someday. I've played the intro.
I mean, I already finished it. Like, I know that might be blasphemous to some people. It's like, I put 500 hours into that game. I'm like, cool. I only cared about the main characters and the main story. So it's like, I feel that I got my money's worth by finding out what happens to our beloved friends.
So here's how bad I am, Wyatt. I still haven't played Skyrim. I've played like
ever?
No, I played like, I don't know, like 10 hours of Skyrim. That's okay. Like I just got going. And then I'm like, I don't have time. I haven't. And we were talking about this in the pregame, right? You get good at what you do most. So if I want to write books and scripts and stuff, that's what I got to do. If I want to be good at video games, that's what I do. So it's like, I have to force myself not to play a lot of video games anymore. I still use it to recharge the batteries and to get inspiration for stuff, but it's like until I'm at the level of success I'm comfortable with, then my gaming has to suffer. That's just the way it is.
I didn't want to shit on this summer Steam sale, but I'm like, I'm not looking at it. I cannot afford to get addicted to a title. I am 100% on painting my models and crushing tutorials and like getting my Death Guard army painted. And like, I know if I sit down with one of these games you just listed, I'm fucked.
I actually almost bought this one fighting game, and then I could hear Kenny like in the back of my head being like, "I don't have time for this. You got to get ready for 9th edition. You got to do all this other stuff."
Yo,
Yeah.
Ghost of Kenny, you're right. Thank you. Like,
It's not easy. It's not easy. Being a gamer, it's not easy.
God, it's a hard life.
just make it. Just make it.
I haven't really wanted to be honest. Like after I finished The Witcher 3, I was like, I don't really want any games until Cyberpunk comes out. So
That's the sign of a really good game, honestly.
yeah, that's the only game on my radar right now is Cyberpunk 2077.
Cyberpunk, yeah.
You know? And I mean, like, I know that like the new PS5 got announced and like all that shit. And there's going to be like a hot new lineup. And I'm just like,
X-Wing Squadrons.
Oh yeah, that one.
Yeah, we're talking about this because I am dusting off the rust for all you people.
Oh man, you don't even have a throttle control on that?
That's on this side.
Ooh, I was about to judge you for not having all the setup, but you have like
and the rudder pedals on the other side.
Oh, nice.
God damn it, Haspil.
Hey, I'm not playing, and I know that this stupid thing's going to come out without HOTAS controls support. It'll just be like an Xbox controller, and I'm going to rage.
Yep.
I mean, there is hope. I mean, like, so the new Mech Warrior came out without HOTAS controls, and like all of the Mike Haspils of the Mech Warrior universe were like, "Rah!" And so within like 2 days, they were like, all right, here's HOTAS controls.
How they even put that game out without HOTAS controls to begin with is a failure of judgment. That like a Darth Vader failure of judgment. Like I would have force choked somebody who did that.
He would have.
I mean, I understand your feelings, but
you put out a Mech Warrior. You're going to put out a X-Wing versus TIE Fighter game, and it has no HOTAS. You have failed me for the last time. I bet
the PC version will like.
It better. It has crossplay. I mean, I don't care what other people are using. I care what I'm using. Especially
I've never
since
played.
It has VR.
I've never played Mech Warrior with anything but a mouse and keyboard. So like,
heresy.
Well, I mean, man, I was a kid. Like my dad's not going to spend $400 on a HOTAS Warthog. Like I had to buy that as a grown man.
Grown ass man.
It's a valid points. Valid points from Wyatt. If they're saying that Squadrons is going to support VR, I need HOTAS for that. I want the whole experience.
I don't know if I could handle VR and HOTAS at the same time. Like that's something that I might like hurl.
Yes, I play. Yeah. There's a flight sim I play on our VR rig, and it's basically HOTAS because I'm doing everything in the fucking cockpit just like with like this. And I'm like, this is pretty sick. As soon as I take off, I'm like, I'm going to fucking throw up everywhere. Like, I'm talking like, and I'm just sitting there in a chair. In my head, it's like, oh my fucking God. Oh. And then I'm just sitting there like in a chair, nothing. Literally just normal environment. Like nothing weird happening. I'm like, how the fuck? If there was actually like physical, like if I was grounded to the world, I actually kind of think it'd be better.
So have you ever seen those crazy setups where those guys build those like actuated gaming chairs to play flight sims and shit? Mm-hmm. Like if I had the money, I think I would do that for like a really, really good flight sim game because like those in VR I'm fine with. But when it's just like you're just sitting in a chair playing a VR game, like I get a little motion sicky. But if it's like you're actually moving like in physical space along with what you're supposed to be doing in the VR space, it seems fine. It's like riding a roller coaster or something like that. Like I don't have a trouble with it.
Yeah, it's has to. I had a problem with that with some of the games. It has to do with your body thinks you're poisoned, and it's reacting to that. That's what motion sickness is, sort of.
Weird.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Some of the games I play now, they have like a different way of moving where you have to pump the fucking nunchucks to move. To remind yourself to like at least fictionalize the movement action, and it does keep you from getting.
What type of game is this that you're having to make those motions?
They have anime characters in them, but that's not the point.
With OnlyFans pages.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, and then I saw somebody post a little video that says like how we think it's going to be. And it's like, oh, flying an X-Wing in VR is going to be lit. It's going to be the most amazing thing ever. And then the second part of it, it just shows Porkins like, I can hold it, and then exploding. Like how it's actually going to be. It's going to be awesome. I'm really looking forward to it.
Well,
I mean, I am looking forward to that, but I don't feel the same level of like, I am excited for this game.
I see.
For Cyberpunk. Cause I just like, after the army, like I just don't get into video games as much as I did when I was younger, just because I have like Warhammer and shit. So I'm like, priorities.
Okay.
Definitely.
I keep it straight.
I muted myself. I'm not ready.
And
Everybody keeps talking about something happened.
Yeah.
Something happened today.
Tau got nerfed again because you get 10 points for having a fully painted army.
Oh, poor Tau. R.A.P. Tau.
Yeah.
Rip. Yeah,
Like a new
already.
addition to the game or something.
Yeah.
Right? This is perhaps the biggest day for 40K podcasting in 2020.
There was a lot this morning at 5 a.m. There was a lot today at 5 p.m.
Yeah.
It's kind of nuts.
It's an overwhelming amount of information to sift through.
Oh, yeah.
People in chat, I mean, like, but it's awesome. People in chat are already like, oh, rip old storm shields. People are like, what happened to the storm shield?
That's
so 20 minutes ago, dog. Get on our level.
I like the mortal wound thing. Like mortal wound deflection on 4-up. That's pretty cool.
Oh, storm shield can bounce a mortal wound?
No, the relic shield that the captain has. He has a 4-up from the Iron Halo.
He's an honor shield. He's a special.
But his like shield blocks mortal wounds for on a 4-up.
Oh,
it's probably that skeleton he bolted to the front.
Yeah. He's like, yeah, check it out. I'm gonna make a new shield.
That skeleton used to be like a real life dude one time.
Yeah, that was like Dave. You know, and he fell in battle, and he's like, "Put me on your shield so I can still serve the Emperor."
Yeah,
I like to think he was actually like a living dude for a while, and then like just got mortal wounded to pieces. But I like yours better. Happy Paul. I know I ask every few months, where do you want us to watch this? Twitch, come on, man. I mean, just go to Long War TV. That's the destination. Yeah. But you know, it's the Storm Shield. To anyone in chat is asking, like, we've already gone through it all. Like this morning, we were like, that's cool. You know, we already went through all the emotions, right? Like, and something kind of popped out in my head. You guys remember back in the day, Choppas? In 3rd edition, were like, you had
straight wrecking Terminators.
It just took your save to a 4, right? And we used to always be like, that's so fucking dumb. Why can't Choppas just be like -1 to your armor save? But like we were in an edition where that wasn't a thing, right? And it would have been so much more RP if this giant thing that they were slamming down on you, just -1 your save, because currently it has no effect on a t-shirt, but it fucking ruins Terminators, right?
Yeah.
And anyone who lived through 3rd edition, Choppa era, they know this, right? Like that's how they thought about it, but it never got changed. Storm Shield currently is like what is kind of like the reverse of the Choppa should have been. Because I used to always think like this dude's like, plow, big ass shield on the ground. Get fucked. And then all these little las pistols would like tear him to pieces, and then like a las cannon would like bounce off his shield, right? Like, wait, what? Like,
you gotta think about what it actually does for you, because everybody's like, oh, it's a 4-up invul save, 4-up invul, 4-up invul, but like it also +1 to your armor save. So for a lot of Space Marine units, you're basically ignoring whole swaths of AP weapons.
Yeah, that's better.
Terminator with a Storm Shield walking around ignores AP1 all the time. When they're in cover, they ignore AP2. So basically, you have to shoot that Terminator with an AP4 weapon
in cover.
Before they actually, in cover before they need to take
a 4-up save.
An invul. Yeah. And it's like, ooh, I lost 1 Terminator. Because what AP4 weapon has more than 1 shot?
Yeah.
Like, there's not very many of them.
Yeah.
And my Thunderwolf Cav just got seriously annoying.
Yeah.
Really annoying.
Because really,
really,
the problem
they're going to eat your face.
Because you have the HP, you have the wound count. Now you can basically just bounce chaff fire.
Yeah, they're going to eat your face. They're in your hair.
The vast majority of weapon profiles that kill Space Marines in droves, like 2 damage weapons, most of them are AP -1, AP 2. And so like now most of the time you're just going to ignore the AP values on that and roll your better saves. You don't actually need a 3-up invul save because you're already going to have a 2-up or a 3-up save to begin with.
Bro, it's artificial armor. Like back in the day, remember we'd always be like, oh yeah, we get a 2-up save in our cat. Like it's huge. And it's RPAF. Like that's what I love about it is like now this dude like locks down a beast ass fucking shield and it's like, get good. Like I'm fucking blocking all the shots. Like I fucking love it. It's a sick change.
All this is basically RP, and they're turning it into a dynamic video game on the tabletop. And I mean, it's pretty obvious now. It's dope.
I mean, you say that like it's a bad thing.
No, I just said it was dope.
Yeah, but the way you said
don't police Rob's
tabletop
tone.
video game. Like you said it like a boomer, and
You did.
like
you
that.
said it like it was like, hey, it doesn't have tiger tanks in this game.
Look,
that's what you said.
You guys are fucking policing my man's tone over here. He's entitled to have any emotion he wants.
Sometimes I have multiple emotions in the same sentence.
What?
It's crazy.
It's lizard people skills.
Yeah.
I can only do rage and happiness. Those are my only 2 emotions.
It's
I think it's a good
outrage.
thing. The hobby's definitely going to grow because it's going to attract more people, especially when they start seeing the RP factor and, oh, hey, this is more dynamic. This isn't just like stand on each side and blast each other. This is like engaging. I mean, this is all just who knows what it's actually going to be, but just looking at the rules and all that stuff, like you're like, okay, I get it. Like this is where they're going with it.
Yeah. The one sure thing on the stuff that I saw, some of the leaked pictures and stuff that they had today, the one sure thing I walked away from is to quote my man Joe Exotic, I'm never going to financially recover from this. My wallet is already like, oh, you were saving up for 9th. Saving up. Didn't save enough, son.
I gotta shout out my boy Greg. He actually got that meme on his new Navy Federal Credit Union debit card.
Oh, you got to be kidding me.
Nope. That exact shot where he says, I'm never going to, it's even subtitled on the meme on his card.
That is amazing.
That is
fucking savage.
Savage, yes. Oh my God. But it's pretty fucking exciting. And me and Wyatt were going through some of the stuff earlier and I was like, hey, should we should definitely get an old school top 3 biggest changes kind of list together.
Yeah.
This show is not going to have a format outside of that. I'm a forewarned.
There's just too much to go over.
Too much, too many tales. We have to be
too much.
It's out there. Just read the rules.
We have to be authorized to go on tangents. Like we need to like be able to like go off out of order for like a couple minutes. Like so, it's not gonna. But for me specifically, top 3 biggest changes. I'm not saying the biggest impacts. What are you guys' thoughts on what you've seen so far on these rumors / leaks / photos of unknown origin?
What I mean, the storm shield change is going to affect a lot of people. I think on the plus 10 points for having a painted army is hilarious. And I think we should touch on coherency too, because there was a lot of roller coaster when they put out the coherency rules, because you're like, wait, this isn't worded right. You can still string out the way they wrote it is wrong. But then you had to think about the other tidbit they gave you about check in morale. And you're like, oh, okay. So if you do spread out, you're basically going to lose a chunk, if not your whole squad. And it's like trying to form all these like.
I've seen a lot of people say something very similar, and the only thing I can think of is like, you don't have to pull models from the middle of that string, right? So
I mean, you have to pull a model. So
you have to pull a model.
Has to be within 2, or
right. So you pull from the end of the string. Like I don't understand
There's a point because currently you don't have to. Currently, casualty removal can be done to break coherency. in 8th edition.
Right.
I do it all the time where I have one guy left on this side of the table, one like 14 inches away on this side of the table. It's legal.
That you can do for sure. But
Like,
you could whittle them into a ball.
So they're forcing you to, so like they're just removing a little gaminess. I've pulled that move on so many people with 30 cultists strung out where they're like, you can't pull that way. It's like, actually I can. It just says that if I have to move back into coherency, and if it's not possible, I can't ever move again. I've literally done it to win games. Like, so like, that's
correct. What I'm saying is like, I've seen a lot of people say that like, oh, all you have to do is kill like one model out of the middle of that string and half the squad dies. And I'm like, what are you guys smoking? That's not a rule. Like I get to choose where I pull casualties from, not you. So like, why would you ever be dumb enough to just kill half your squad by pulling one guy from the middle of
one of the dumbest things that seemed like a good idea on paper in 6th edition when you had to pull casualties from the point of the fire or the attacker.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Seemed good on paper. It had a good idea. And then it just got really gamey. So like that, I'm glad we're not in those dark.
It was cinematic.
It was.
Yeah.
It was cinematic because it made kind of sense that the guys up front would get shot, but
yeah, I got no beef. I got no beef with that, but it was kind of a roller coaster on that preview in a lot of ways. I do like going back to was it today? When was the T-Sun faction focus? Today? Yesterday? Yes. I can't even tell anymore. It's like the 74th day of March, April.
90.
May,
it's in the 90s,
June.
dude.
Yeah, I don't even know anymore. About the psychic actions was kind of cool to see. Like you can interact with things now. So I do like where all this is going with interesting new mechanics, but speeding up other areas. That's really exciting to me, and that's bringing more of that RP, that more of that cinematic feel into it, which I think is pretty neat for sure. And then obviously we know that they've confirmed the release date that I talked about, I think last week. That would probably be on the 25th, and that's really cool to see. Jury's still out on the price of the box. It's gonna probably be 200. Might be a lot. Might be more. Like I'm getting a lot of conflicting reports right now on the actual price. So,
but this is the limited one, right?
Right. And that's the weird part. So I'm almost wondering in the back of my mind, and this is just a gluten-free gut check. I have nothing to base this on except for the fact that if the Indominus box is more, the actual starter box will be the box that they give away, and that we got that $200 price tag from. That will be the price of the actual starter box. The Indominus box could be more, and they might take things out. So it's kind of really hard to say.
But they did come out straight and say like this is a celebratory limited edition box set. Like the core rule book that they put in that box has like a specific like limited edition cover art.
Why do you tell me this?
When it's gone, it's gone.
I mean, you were gonna buy it anyways.
I was gonna get like 4 or 5 anyway.
Oh yeah, totally.
I'm joking, but I'm definitely gonna get one. But I didn't know that the rule book was like special. So now I really want one.
Well, they're kind of doing that whole like Sisters of Battle army box, the Lumineth Realm Lords. Yeah. Which by the way, the Lumineth Realm Lords, if you're in a Sigmar and they're your thing and you're not waiting on Tyrion's elves to come out, that book is very nicely done. Like just the velvety feel, the foil leaf to it. It's very well done.
Nice.
So kind of throwing it out there to the high elf players.
Awesome. Let me jump back in the chat because I want to go back to this coherency. So someone's Nexus classes, but even if you pull from the end, then the new end will not be within 2 inches of the next model. I want further clarification on why that would occur. Secondly, Jim Vessel's in the chat, and he's like, there is a rule called coherency check. I remember reading that. Is that at the morale phase?
So after the morale phase, you have to check your models to see if they're within coherency. Any models not, like there are repercussions. So like that's not what I was talking about. Right. Like I put that in the chat. Like what I'm talking about is if Kenny has a unit that shoots at my unit, I get to choose where I pull casualties from unless his unit has a very specific rule in its stat block that allows him to pick a unit. And those are exceptionally rare. Right. We're not talking about like exceptions to core rules. We're talking about core rules. Like he never gets to choose where I pull casualties from. And most of the time, unless you have like a really long, skinny stream of dudes, like you're not going to pull one from the middle and kill half of your squad. Like that would be stupid. That's what we're saying.
Oh yeah, I mean it's an idiot thing. So yeah, units with 6 or more models have to be within 2 inches of 2 or more models. So like if you're an idiot and you're spreading your unit out because you forgot the rules, you're going to get fucked. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Yeah, in the newer rule book that we saw, like there is a coherency check, and that's another rule that they brought over from Age of Sigmar, where like you have to make sure all your guys are where they're supposed to be,
dead.
or they're dead. So again, like don't pull shit that's gonna break half your squad coherency with one guy. That would be dumb. Like don't do that.
Ninja Wolf Hybrid is like, yeah, like 2 ranks now. They want you to use movement trays. Like it's movement trays become suddenly more practical because now the amorphous nature of maneuvering is kind of more streamlined, and it definitely speaks to this aesthetic we keep bringing up, where you don't have these big blobs of amoeba shapes and Congo lines and shit. You have like tight looking units of dudes moving around with sick ass fucking big things.
I mean, the ones these are going to make a big comeback.
Those, yes. The long, thin ones, probably not. Unless you take them and you pair them next to each other, like stagger it.
Like, was that from
best friends? No, these are who's our guy? Magnet Baron. Yeah, this is a iron ferrite impregnated resin, so magnets stick to this resin.
Oh, that is sick.
Yeah. I use these for a bunch of stuff, but like. When I went back to playing like a more elite army with Space Marines and then Chaos Space Marines, I didn't need these. But now I'm just like, if coherency is a thing and I never want to have to worry about it, and I want to
and don't measure.
Just like just move them around with little movement trays. Like fuck it.
And they have, if you want to go all GW all the time, they have those too. Right. They're not magnetic.
Who's our other guy?
They have those
squad marks.
Squad marks. They are cool because they actually sell very thin little disky metals that you can put into those. Mm-hmm. So those can be magnetized as well. And they also have like little thin disc magnets you can just glue onto the bottom of your base. You don't have to like drill it out or any of that stuff. So I'm probably gonna give them a bunch of money soon.
Yeah, Eric 1375. See, this is why I know my heart, because his complaint isn't this to prevent Congo lines. I hated those. I prefer the squad formations and not the 30 plague bearers touching across both deployments. What you just said is the number one most common complaint I see in like a live stream when they're like streaming the top tables, and people who are watching at home are like, what the fuck is this shit? Like, because it looks like shit. And from an aesthetic standpoint, when you're looking at the battlefield, it has no cool factor whatsoever. And after reading that comment, like for the 30th time in one GW live stream, I was like, this is going away. Like,
and it doesn't make sense. Like, tactically, it doesn't. It does. No. It does in the game because it's an exploit to the rules.
Yeah, because you're trying to block out and do control and all sorts of other things.
But you would never string out your guys like that ever. No.
I mean, not unless you're in a trench, but yeah.
In a trench, or if you're fighting King's Rules or something in 1700. And you're trying to mass firepower, but otherwise not happening.
99 ninjas. Yeah, you always fail save on a 1. What we're talking about is the math of adding and subtracting AP values. So in our example, we used a Terminator with the Storm Shield in cover, right? So for all intents and purposes, his save is now -1 because he has from the +1 to armor save and the cover bonus, it will negate AP -1, AP -2, because when you finish all of the math, his save is still a 2-up no matter what, right? That's what we're talking about.
And he doesn't get to his 4-up on the Stone Shield, which is less than the 3-up you're used to. He doesn't even get to the 4 until you're -4.
Yeah.
So it's like a net savings.
You can only ever like off the top of my head, I think like Las Cannon and a Melta is like, those are both one-shot weapons, right? So you might lose like one Terminator.
Yeah, it's a pretty solid buff. And so that's obviously Storm Shield's a big thing, right? That's a big thing. People are fucking loving that one. Another big change, which I don't think is as much impact, but I do believe it's a substantial procedural change, is the whole wording on psychic powers. Can't do them when you fall back, and you can't jump around. That is casting. Yeah. You have to complete go.
There's a lot of list archetypes that do a lot of that, where they have all of these like order of operation strategies based on what goes off and what fails and like where they are on the battlefield. And it's really confusing. And like if you play that list a lot, you can get really good with it and be like super like on par with all of your order of operations. But when you play against it, it sounds so gamey because it's like, all right, this guy's going to cast one power. And then this guy way over here is going to cast another power. And I'm going to go back to this guy. And then I'm going to go to this third guy over here and he's going to do something.
Oh,
and then like you just keep bouncing around.
I mean, you remember in our tactics classes, I would always put that little sidebar of if, then this for the second powers. And it was preposterously complex and gamey. And we did whole hour videos on
like Charlie Day and doing the thing in Pacific Rim.
And it all makes sense. Like,
it's literally that, because like you have to build these like contingency charts because you are allowed to, and now that that's gone, it's just like complete. And the fact that you can't do it and fall back, I'm not saying like it's the biggest game changing set of like change, but I think it's a pretty solid. It's gonna bring some streamlining and some rigidity that the psychic phase kind of needed. Yeah.
Not everybody did that, like, but it was around enough to be kind of an issue. So
and it causes like, feel bad because, like, you know, if you're not tracking, when I played the 7 Demon Prince list, I had like tons of like index cards, like that I was just throwing around the table, like so that you just had to trust me because there's no fucking way that you went as deep as I did on like what combinations.
You're playing a Psyker shell game.
Yeah, literally, it's a game in the mind, literally and figuratively, because there's nothing that's actually happening except dice are being thrown. So it's like you just have to trust me. So it doesn't. I saw people get annoyed. Ninja Wolf this is a good one. I like this question. Is line of sight making too much of a comeback in 9th? Is that going to slow down the game and make players look stupid again? Now it's interesting. I like that question because like, look, I haven't played it. I don't know. My gut tells me from playing in 4th edition to now and seeing this kind of like 10 to 20% point increase as an average or a mean across the board, slightly smaller table size, vehicles getting buffs, monster creatures getting buffs, most of the chaff going up, even more, like going up on the high end of that spectrum. There's somebody out there, finally GW has one of these guys. We've been talking about this for years. There's a guy who's like, you know what the vision is? This is the fucking vision. Small, compact fighting forces, with the exception of our known horde threats, moving around, having multiple skirmishes on a table to decide the fate of these battlefields. Not just like a big push, maybe something over here happens. I'm talking like it's all little self-contained battles. It moves quick.
Almost like an RTS.
We got to do our actions to complete the goals. And that's what I want this terrain to feed into that ability, like that street to street, you know, zone to zone fighting, where you are kind of shielded from other elements of the battlefield, where you get to have these little moments where 5 guys versus 5 guys is kind of a cinematic. And it seems to me that decision has finally been made, and they're finally taking the steps required, whether it be point costs, new rules, etc., to make that feeling occur. My gut's telling me it's not going to be that. It's going to be hype beyond belief.
Yeah, I think it'll slow down the game the first time you play it. And then once you figure out what it is, it won't have any effect.
Yeah, it's lessons learned. Like your first game will take 4 hours. Your second game will go faster. Your third game, and then you'll just be skipping. You'll play 2 turns and be like, all right, so what do you think? You know, like, that's just the way it goes.
It'll go fast.
Yeah.
I think terrain looks really good out the gate. There is one thing that I think might get a Band-Aid put on it by the tournament scene, which is the true line of sight for units inside of buildings. And depending on what the terrain looks like and what's really popular and like, you know, the prevailing opinions or whatever, we might go to a place where it's like everything is still the same, except now like this terrain feature, you can't see true line of sight on the first floor. Because like we figured out that was something that kind of needed to happen. So we'll have to see, like, even back then, like we didn't get that rule for like at least a few months of playing 8th edition. That wasn't a thing. And then like they put that in there after getting some market data back.
Yeah, so George echoes exactly what you're saying. He's like, people will figure out the best combination of terrain rules for easy, good, fair play. You don't stick.
Yeah.
ITC will probably be those people.
Yeah.
They probably already have a head start.
There's a question in the chat that's confusing me here. It's from Happy Pole. He says, so there is a coherency rule that says you can't have 3 guys in a squad on one side of the board and 3 guys from that same squad on the other side of the board. I'm like, when have you ever been allowed to do that?
If you string it out.
In 8th edition.
If you string out a huge number, like a 30-man unit of Poxwalkers,
I guess I'm reading it differently.
Yeah, what he's talking about is like you could pull from the middle, like so you could have one long 30
I see.
touching like two objectives.
Yeah, you can't.
And so it's if you then move, you have to move towards coherency, but you're like, I don't want to move because I'm sitting on this objective.
And the rule actually further says if like it's impossible to move back to coherency, you can't move.
Yeah.
So
I was thinking about it differently. I was literally thinking like where somebody puts 3 guys, like almost like a combat squad, but
you're thinking like forcibly doing it,
like forcibly doing it, like putting 3 guys on one side of the board and 3 guys on the other. I'm like, you've never been allowed to do that unless there were combat squads or something.
Here's a big one: core stratagem. This one got brought up earlier for us today. CP reroll. At first glance, didn't seem like a big change, but it kind of is a big fucking change. Like the command point reroll.
They really put some permissive stipulations on that, where it's like, this is what you can use it on.
That is probably single-handedly when we first started playing 8th edition. We all had shit indexes and a couple of core stratagems, and that was it. CP reroll was the fucking game. That was the name of the fucking game.
You're like, wait, what?
Like buying in on rerolls, right? And so going back to one of the most utilized stratagems throughout the history of 8th edition and saying it's for a roll or a combination of rolls, and these are that list of rolls, period. That kind of permission, kind of crazy, and I like it. And I like how in some situations, like I'm gonna charge you, and you roll 2 dice. A lot of times we roll that 6 and that 1, flip that 1, right? Now you got to flip both. So like that's gain and that's positive and negative gain, right? Like so. Then we started trying to list all the things that we're like, isn't that everything in the game? And then we were like, well, actually, it's not even close because we went off on a tangent on our tactics show, and there's a lot of things that you are really used to CP rerolling that you don't get to reroll anymore. Like, say Celestine, Robbie G, exactly. Like, that's kind of a big deal, I think.
I'm not even upset about Bobby G's thing because like he has so many other tools at his disposal, given his like stat line where, you know, unlike Morty and Magnus, he can't be targeted except for like snipers and if he's the closest and blah, blah, blah. So the number of times he's actually, you know, fallen in battle for me, where he wasn't like one of the last models on the board, you know, and like a huge loss.
You had either just lost it or won it anyway.
Yeah. Like it just wasn't a big deal for him to get back up. And there was like one game in the 8 months that I played Space Marines on the tournament circuit last year where him failing a CP reroll or even needing a CP reroll for him to get back up was a thing. And other than that, it just like, it's almost like the Leviathan where it's like, it almost never dies, win or lose. Like you might lose the game and it's just kind of like waddling across the board, trying to get to its targets, or like they just don't kill it and you win, or they don't need to kill it and they win. So it's just like that doesn't bother me.
To the attachments. So I woke up to seeing Supreme Command, and I went on that emotional roller coaster this morning that we already mentioned.
That was interesting.
And where I saw it and I loved it. First off, like I love, because it was everything Wyatt was saying. We're like, we need a way to take our Lords of War, and not a stupid way. We said on this show, like there will be a way. And Supreme Command finally got an overhaul. It gives you access to your Primarchs, your Demon Primarchs. It refunds CPs. It's very powerful. The one caveat that I saw that kind of annoyed me, but I can't be mad because in real life, if you brought Robbie G, of course, he's your fucking warlord, not this hobo over here, right? Mm-hmm. So they have to be your warlord, which means that's the warlord trait, which means in some situations, you've been used to taking your Billy Badass, making Scrub Boy a buff caddy warlord with a certain cherry-picked aura you want. That goes away. Very small loss compared to the gains, the access, and the new CPs. Pretty big deal, I think. What do you guys think?
I think it is a really big deal. Having all of those secondary detachments cost 3. Personally, I think it's a bit much. I think they should have been 1 or 2, but is what it is. You know, the rules are out. We got to play by the rules. I think it's going to wildly swing how lists are put together on top of like just the way that we score objectives and the things that we're going to be doing to reach a win condition with actions and all that other stuff. Like, this like CP rework is again kind of ringing the bell to me of this is like the biggest change out of this edition is like they are completely flip-flopping how CP works, where we start off with a bunch and then we lose it all, like starting off in the list building part. Right. And then it's like, well, you got to see what you get. And then there's a little bit of a regen there. One thing I did notice is that there is a little bullet point in one of those boxes that says you can only ever gain or regen a single CP in any turn. So I don't know how that's going to work with the command phase where you're just going to auto get one for being Battleforged and abilities that let you regen one.
I think you just auto get one because everything I've read has alluded to that, although I have not seen that rule.
It's in there. I'd have to.
So like, it wouldn't validate anything else in the game that does that based on that checkbox you. So unless there's further.
Well, yeah. Unless they errata it to say you gain this in addition to, because it doesn't codexes override main rulebook.
Yeah, there's probably going to be a whole lot of stuff that just straight up doesn't really work within the bounds of this rule set until they come out with a new book. So that's going to be kind of a weird, swamp to traverse.
Let me jump back to chat. James, funny because we were just talking about Supreme Command. He brought up the guy that made me salty, but he brought it up incorrectly. Sorry, buddy. This Mortarion is a good warlord trait, so I'm happy. Actually, that warlord trait is the best warlord trait. Yeah, but that's the worst guy. That's the worst guy to have it on your list, which was why we took Mortarion and made some scrub who has a reroll ones bubble with Arch Contaminator sit with the PBCs. Because now Mortarion, who's a living hand grenade, he's burning your spot.
Tactical nuclear warhead for him.
Yes, he's burning up your Arch Contaminator babysitting role, which means it's kind of like got to be shifted around and done differently. So that's what annoyed me specifically. But
on that same point, I like murder ball tactics. So with the new protections that we're going to have for PBCs and the fact that you can just roll around with impunity and shoot all your weapons with no penalties, like just have him follow him around Morty, see how it works out.
Yeah. So like at the end of the day, I can't argue with it. He's got it but it was an example of gaminess. Taking Mortarion and making this other guy my warlord so I can do this like gamier. And they're removing that. Like, okay, got it. Understood.
Somebody else asked a question. In the match play section, they did say that you have to have a singular keyword in common, but it cannot be one of the faction keywords. So in like the core open play rules, it says like if they all share chaos or they all share Imperium, it's fine. But then in like match play, they clarify like what we had currently where it's like you can't have your only matching keyword be chaos. They have to have like multiple, or they have to have a different keyword that's tied to like their codex book. And I think things like Mortarion only have Death Guard.
Death Guard, Nurgle, Demon.
I like how they said you can't have more than one item in the Supreme Command with the keyword Primarch. And I'm like, Well, there's only one right now, isn't there?
Magnus Mortarion.
No, that's Demon Primarch. They specified it very specifically.
Oh, well, maybe so.
They said Primarch, and then they said Demon Primarch, and I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, so like you'd have to use like Nurgle, Heretic Astartes, or Death Guard to be able to do that.
Which so that's actually how my 7 Demon Prince list worked.
Yeah,
because I had a run of Death Guard Demon Princes with a billion Nurglings for the Demon Codex. So it was a Demon. I was a Nurgle battalion. So that was their one key word.
Oh, okay. So to answer our earlier question, Colonel Cabbage, he found that box and he says Battleforge CP bonus and CPs gained at the start of the command phase via mission special rules are exempt from this limit.
Oh, so there it is. So you can
cool.
Stacks on stacks on stacks.
Yeah, but I think what that thing was talking about is like, what's like the IG thing that everybody was using for a long time? Where you could just like regen CP like all day.
Oh,
like
the Aquila. Yeah.
Yeah. So like that got changed where you can only regen a single CP. Same with the
or Steel one.
Yeah, or the Ultramarines Warlord trait that kind of did the same thing where it's like you can roll until you regen one, but when you regen that one in a turn, like that's it.
I think Blood Angels had one too, but it only worked one way.
Ron, he's like, I can take a Great Unclean one on my Death Guard list. Here's the thing. If everyone doesn't have Death Guard or Heretic Astartes or whatever the rule is in their Legion book, you lose your Legion bonuses.
Yeah, you lose all your cool
which
shit.
could be bad for.
So you can make
depending on how you want to do it.
But that doesn't count for summoning, right?
Correct.
That does
so
not.
if you set aside summoning points, then technically yes,
No, summoning
but it
bypass
has to be through summoning.
But the reason I was fine with this because I didn't give a shit about the stratagems. That list was about spamming Demon Princes, so like I had no access to Death Guard stratagems. I didn't care. What I needed was Demon Princes with disgusting resilience, and some other other abilities that can be applied to them, and Nurglings. So like I was down to break the Legion rule.
Yeah.
But like, looks like to me that they're keeping the same set of rules that we have had to grow into through FAQs and chapter proofs just from the jump. So anyone jumping in 9th edition just has all that in the book.
Well, yes and no. I mean, we're still going to need a bunch of books to play because it looks like right off the bat, we're going to need the chapter approved points. We're going to need the rule book, and then we're going to need, your codex. So that's at least three books. And I imagine we'll see the Forge Roll stuff in August because they're already in the warehouse, which is kind of interesting because we're going to see. Oh wait, so this is going to come out at the end of July. I imagine it's only going to be a couple weeks till Forge Roll books hit. Yeah,
that'll be an interesting time because I'm sitting here like, oh, please don't make Decimators suck.
People keep the app just got brought up, and I saw Brad Chester on his Facebook live show saying like it's all supposed to be a day one rollout.
Mm-hmm. Oh, when it goes on pre-order, I think they said. So that might be next Saturday, the 11th.
That's the other thing that my cynic senses are tingling on the app. Like, I don't know. I do not feel good about it. I do not feel optimistic about this app.
I'm starting to feel optimistic about it. And here's why. It looked like from those points leaks that a lot of stuff, upgrades and different weapon costs were 0. So it's almost like, what?
Yeah, and like the cost was rolled into like the cost of the unit.
That's probably because it's a F ton of work to change all that stuff and keep track of it on a data level. Like if you ever look at Battlescribe and look at like the GitHub beta versions of like each of the updates, like there's a lot, they crunch a lot of numbers and they do a lot of work in that stuff. So I could see why GW might be like, you know what? That's a lot of work. Maybe we should just do it this way.
That's a pretty interesting point that like one could have led to the other. Getting this app out is so fucking like they cannot fuck this up.
I think they're aware of the level of don't fuck this upness that it is.
I hope they are. I don't know. I'm not very trusting of them.
Haspil got a rule book in his hand. What you looking at?
Look out.
There's a discussion in the chat about how invul saved works. I think people are reading too much into it. I think it's always been that way. It's basically each time an attack is allocated to a model with an invul save, you can choose to use either the armor save or the invul save, but not both. And I'm like, it's always been like that. It's not a change. And so I was just checking just to see because I'm either not seeing what somebody else is saying, which is very possible because I'm dense when it comes to like I just read the rules at face value, so I don't see a lot of like the nuances. But to me, I've always played it that way. So I was just checking to see if I was crazy or if I was remembering things wrong. So I had the 4th edition rule book in my hand, and it basically says the same thing that if you have an invul save or an armor save, the owning player can choose which save to attempt before rolling the dice, but the model still only gets to make one saving throw. So you can choose either or, but you don't get more.
Yeah.
And I was just like, okay. So
but I want more.
So somebody's asking about summoning. So in like an open play, like narrative play, it is very similar to Sigmar, where it's just like, if you have the models and they pass the test, you can summon shit. Right. But in match play, we figured out really quickly, given the power dynamics in 40K, that like unlimited summoning is like the most
7th edition. Anyone?
Yeah, it's like who's our boy that had like 13 bloodthirsters on the table at Adepticon? Yeah, it's dumb. So they changed it to where you have to allocate a certain amount of points in your list for summoning
to a pool.
To a pool. You cannot exceed that point value when you summon things. So I imagine that like it'll probably be the same way in match play.
And if you had the same type of summoning pool that you used to have, and you have 400 points allocated to it, you don't have to use, you choose. So you're like, oh, okay, for this situation, it's going to be blah. That's, like it's fucking pretty cool. You roll the dice, see what your power level is, pick the shit you want. But you got to pay for it. Yeah. Volcano Canyon is now Blast. That's right, buddy. Blast is awesome.
Blast. Very, very, very cool stuff in Blast. I think Inceptors with Plasma Annihilators. That's what they're called, right?
I love that unit. I think I love everything about that unit except the points. And now the points are
Plasma Exterminators. So in the points breakdown, because of the points changes to the unit and the cost of the weapons being rolled into all of that, the Plasma I just lost it. Okay, Plasma Exterminators and that Inceptor squad is actually 15 points or 15% less expensive now. And those Exterminators have Blast. And on top of that, the Plasma Gets Hot rule only happens on unmodified ones now. So like, ooh, spicy. Very cool.
Yeah, I got an update for that. For the con, I'm watching him and James are talking. We've been talking about like, don't be shocked if TOs want to keep going down in point costs, right? Because smaller table, we get the 12 CP still. But it's funny. I was talking to Reese the other day, and kind of like, because he's one of the guys who used to preach that, and I was just pumping for information, and he definitely, in my opinion, does not want to go down in points. He seems to want to stay at 2K, and which makes sense because actually at his point reductions, we were expecting 20-25%, and already my 1,800 point list I built trying to prepare for 2K is already bust based on points I'm seeing from Space Marines and stuff that I can just assume are the same.
We're seeing stuff where like some things they only increased by like 2%. And then other things increased by 58%. Like, they did whirlwinds so dirty with these points changes. Like, oh my God. Like,
yeah, but now you can buy the bunker.
Oof.
Hammerfall drop command bunker.
We're just talking about that in the chat.
Give me more Dawn of War stuff, man. Like,
yeah, they're like StarCraft bunker and command center. I'm like, StarCraft. I am totally buying that.
That's straight out of Dawn of War, dude. That's how all Space Marine tech was. It's like it's like thematically it makes sense for Space Marines because they're a rapid insertion, tip of the spear, elite unit. So it would make sense that they have things that are like prefab structures that they like, drop in and set up like really fast. Like, I don't see what's wrong with that. I think it looks cool.
I got no beef with it. Ooh. Got no beef. I think it's pretty sweet.
I could definitely see some kind of narrative story where Imperial Fists are like, oh, we got to siege this like fortress or some shit. And so like their first salvo is they just drop like hundreds of those fucking hammer falls and then launch salvos out of it and to soften up to the defenses before the drop pods come in. Like, does that not make narrative sense for Imperial Fists? Like, I think that checks out.
Like it. What other big ass procedural changes? Or
like order of operations throughout the turns is like very, very similar. They did add in the command phase, so that is a change. Very simple. Oh, yeah. Like it's pretty cut and dry on that. And then they also added in some other distinct phases with. Like in the morale phase, like there's like a lot more happening in the morale phase now, which is, they talked about that where they're like, the morale phase is going to be important or more important than it was before. So now you have like the new morale system, and also coherency checks. So like it seems like on the face of it, lots of stuff is going to happen in the morale phase after you guys take casualties, like more so than ever before.
I think it's going to be pretty clutch, especially on the keeping coherency and stuff.
That's a good question. What about for charging units? Sorry, back to
okay. So the way that it works, I'll give you an example. So like Kenny and I are playing a game. My Chaos Marines charge his Plague Marines. Charging units always go first, with the exception of things that have a rule in their stat block that allows them to always fight first. There's like 3 or 4 wordings of those rules that you have to get into, right? But core rules, we're not talking about exceptions. Don't well actually me. If I charge, that unit's fighting first, right? Once all charging units have fought, Kenny, as the opposing player whose turn it is not, gets to choose which non-charging unit fights first, or then fights, I guess I should say. So all charges, everything that charged, they're going to fight first. And then when all of my charges are completed and I've rolled all those attacks, just like we have been doing, he gets to choose which non-charging units fight.
Instead of the controlling player.
So
which
that way
only matters when we have fights that are already stuck in. Like
yes. And I mean it also gives a little bit more risk reward, because if I charge and we're still locked in combat again on my turn, and he did not make any charges, my units are still going to fight first because I get to then pick those.
Oh yeah. Sorry, Rob, what were you saying?
I have no idea. Oh, coherency. Oh, the negative modifiers for different things affecting
yes.
Morale now. It might, be a super thing. We haven't even really dived into that yet either.
Yeah. The other fight phase stuff, they changed, like with engagement range, it's no longer like they shortened the range to a half an inch. So you have like your front rank of guys, and then your guys behind them, and your guys piling in behind them. So now your measurement beyond the front line is a half inch. So you have to be within a half inch of the guys that are within an inch or within engagement range of the enemies to be able to fight. So you're not going to get as many dudes in that clump to be able to throw attacks as you were before.
Shortening it up. I did notice, and someone correct me if I'm wrong on this, maybe it's the same wording, but Fly seems to have the same wording, and in fight phase, when you charge, it seems to ignore everything except buildings. Is that how we settled on it after all the Fly shenanigan FAQs?
After all the FAQs, where they changed it and then changed it back to where it is now, when you charge, you can hop models, but you cannot hop buildings.
So that's basically, they kept that.
So vertical distance for terrain matters, but you can hopscotch over a screening unit if you have the range to do so.
Mm-hmm.
Seems pretty similar. They outline buildings specifically, so.
Right. It says like in this new core rules, it says like Fly, you ignore vertical distances when moving and all that stuff for the charge phase. But again, you have to like get it into your head that when we're talking about core rules, this is like open play. Like core rules is open play. And then you have like a secondary set of addendums to a lot of things when you start looking into the match play setting. And then on top of that, day one release with Indomitus is the new chapter approved, which comes with the Grand Tournament pack. And not only are we going to get stuff in chapter approved with all the points and Munitorum stuff, but we're also going to get that Grand Tournament pack, which could have other addendums to match play within it.
Yeah, fucking full on expect it. Like that's just like the beginning. Remember Haspil, the first time you sat down and played 8th? You're like, I can throw unlimited vortex grenades? What? Oh, Haspil's actually experiencing technical difficulties. Let me see. Is it doing that thing? Oh, hey, you're there.
There he is.
Yay. It enters the meeting muted.
Dumb.
Yeah, I don't know. I had something to say about the Hammerfall, but it was just really quick. I was like, I'm totally putting a sound chip in mine.
Okay, so a lot of people
says, build routine 721 initiated.
Yeah. So in the charge phase, it says charging units fight first. Not only is it the first thing on this page, charging units fights first is in a bigger text and bolded. Units that made a charge move this turn fight first in the fight phase.
Yeah, but wasn't that the same in the last edition? In 8th?
Except with one minor change, that the controlling players, the person who got to pick the not charging units, who got to fight first. So basically, if I charged you and we had a fight ongoing, I also got to jump to that first. Yeah. Now it's after my charges are done, you're picking the stuck in fight order.
Right.
Okay.
Solid.
Not a huge change, but it is a change.
Yeah, I'm like,
well, if you have a lot of ongoing units in the fight, it makes the fight phase a little less like one-sided, where if it's not your turn, you can kind of strike back a little bit before they can like hammer your guys even more.
Yeah, I guess, I don't know. That never really came up for me in 8th. And I don't know.
Most things got. Like when you charged in there, I mean, like you.
Yeah, they got, or you use the stratagem. Yeah. Like if I really needed to go first, I'd be like, I'm going to use this.
Yeah, so this is basically, exactly, right.
And I think now heroic intervening models are not safe from getting struck by a charging unit.
No.
Right, you have to be careful.
Yeah, you do have to be.
That was just a dumb. I'm so glad they fixed that. Someone brought up. Jack says, did they bring up the changing units and charging units in buildings, try to take up the whole second floor?
Oh, so you can't like land it? Or
yeah, remember you was trying to like crowd them out so like you'd be still like people couldn't jump up there.
Right.
They have given us rules on fighting the second floor, right, for monsters and stuff like that.
Yeah. Let me go back. This is the psychic phase.
Oh, yeah. Also, another big one. Jim Vessel, thank you for bringing it up. I forgot about that. Insane Bravery is a one-use only stratagem. So basically, look at all this evidence with coherency, stringing things out.
What? Per game?
Per game.
No, I'm not happy about that.
That doesn't matter for your 8-man leadership 10 guys. This is for fucking dudes who had 40 dudes.
It matters for Necrons.
Oh, they might get better though. Well, I don't know.
You're the only guys who had the game is going to smaller, more elite squad size anyway. So you're going to notice just in the natural army composition when you're scheming that your list is probably going to be safe. And you guys had like natural 10s all over the.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like,
so about units that fight first, right? This has been a thing of contention all throughout 8th because there are like a handful of different wordings for gets to fight first. Like some fight first trump other fight first, and like sometimes it only matters if you are the charger, and if you were charged, you don't, like your rule does not come into effect. So like you have to just like read that special rule and their stat block for those addendums that like overjump core rules. Like you're just gonna have to read the wording.
Yep. And just one more thing on Insane Bravery. It's that guy who said, this is how we play the game now. This is my vision. So you got to build your list to whatever we think that guy's vision is. And his vision is big ass fucking units get fucked. You see it in the small chafe units getting the high side of that 40% increase and point costs and morale being safer in some ways, more harsh in other ways. But morale check, but failing morale isn't just instantly losing 18 guys now, Mike. Like if I kill 11 out of X, you're not just like failing your check and losing 10 guys. The difference, you're failing it, losing 1, and then you have to roll a dice for every guy left in the squad. On a 1, you lose those guys. So like you actually are not just wiped.
So it's like the old dangerous terrain.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's combining
exploding
rules.
vehicle or whatever.
Yeah, it's actually it's a little bit clunky.
I don't know because the last time you told Mike to not roll 1s. That didn't work out too well.
No, that's very dumb.
I don't think he likes the don't roll 1 game.
I told him.
He did.
I told him. I roll more 1s than binary.
He looked right at me.
It's not even funny.
He's been saying that for years. So I was like, that's a joke. He looks at me and I was like, we got this game. All we got to do is not roll a dangerous terrain check right here. We win. It's GG, Haspil. Celebrate a celebratory high five. And he's just looking at me. He's like, I don't feel comfortable rolling this thing. I was like, bruh, it's all good, man. He's like, he rolls that one. Just I was like, okay, I see now.
Isn't strategic reserves a phase too? I remember reading that somewhere.
See, strategic reserves at the end of the movement phase, but yeah, they did put it in a sequence of bullet points.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Or reinforcements or whatever.
So like instead of at the end of the movement phase when your shit comes in, now it's like strategic reserves. This is the new.
It still says at the end of the movement phase, after movement phase.
Yeah, I got you. Okay. I like it.
A lot of things are going to speed this game up. So anyone who was concerned about like dumbing it down, this core rules we have is vastly more precise than it used to be. It has incorporated many FAQs and lots of things that we know that we had to learn on the table were busted. It's way more intuitive, way more complex in many ways compared to what we used to have. It's not dumbed down. There's a few things that are clunkier, but they've done a lot to encourage us to not play in that clunky way. So I still think the game is going to perform faster once we know how to play the game.
So somebody was jumping to conclusions about terrain. So you have to remember now, terrain has keywords. Everything is not just ruins or buildings. Like they are very defined specific things. If you look in the section talking about terrain, they do address things with the area terrain feature still works as normal. You could, like, if you're an infantry, and now the new thing is beasts and swarms can move over and through it. Mm-hmm. Buildings, however, which they specify are typically units with the fortification battlefield role and the building keyword, those you cannot do that, because those are like a ruin is something that you can Kool-Aid man through a wall, breach a door, like all sorts of weird shit. Like a building is like an actual structure.
An actual, can you do that through this door in your house? Like, no. I guess you could, but imagine if it was reinforced and shit.
Yeah, it's like an armored bunker or something like that, right?
I like this keyword stuff because this is going to be super important. I did a deep dive on that, but this is how they do it. That's that link, that 4th edition link we've been talking about. We've got the keywords. And so what can and can't go through a actual building wall?
Oh, I'd have to reopen it now.
Oh, I think it's
Is it just?
So it says buildings are considered to be units rather than terrain features. Models cannot move across buildings. Models use normal rules to determine if a model behind a building is visible. Enemy buildings can be attacked. And then on the other side of that, area terrain is what we're used to seeing. They told us in one of the previews, ruins are an area terrain piece. It has that keyword. And so it says area terrain has a footprint. Footprint equals boundary of terrain feature at ground level. Models move over area terrain using normal rules for movement. Models use normal rules to determine if a model behind the area terrain is visible. Area terrain cannot be attacked. Infantry, beast, and swarm models receive the benefits of cover while they are within it.
So buildings are going to be one of those things that we sort of just not use, is what it feels like to me.
Maybe
I think GW is going to want us to use those.
Yeah, they want us to use a lot
kits.
Yeah, they want us to use a lot of things, but you're basically describing a borderline impassable terrain feature that I can attack and has interactions with attacking. I feel like historically in 40K, we've just ignored that diagram.
No, I don't think you just get to straight up just attack buildings.
It says enemy buildings.
Enemy. So what's an enemy? Right, but what's an enemy building? Is that
a fortification? So I'm looking through the terrain features that they listed, right? And they have ruins, craters, armor containers, barricades.
So the Necrons can kill the Hammerfall drop pod thing. That makes sense.
Yeah. So I'm looking through all these, and none of these have a building keyword. They're all either area terrain or obstacles.
It's probably the gosh.
So it's just we're gonna have to change our mindset a little bit and stop using terrain as a catch-all term for any just terrain piece on the table, and actually start referring to things as their keywords, like a ruin or an obstacle. And then like this Imperial bunker that I paid points for in my
Building.
list, that is a building. Yeah.
So I expect not to see a lot of buildings on tables, is what I'm saying.
Right.
Yeah, because I mean, even those, what are they, Imperial sector? Those are all technically ruins. They're not like complete buildings, right? No, they're not.
Yeah, I'm talking about this building keyword chat. Like, keyword. What has it?
Yeah.
So if it's going to be limited to fortifications, that's one thing. But if it's in the terrain section of the book, that means they're also kind of authorizing you to throw things on the table that are just buildings innate to the habitat, to the terrain, the battlefield you're currently playing on. And I feel like it's going to be a non-issue. It's going to be things that people bought on their army list.
Yeah. I mean, that's just like, we have to change our lexicon a little bit, right? Because like building and ruin are sort of like an interchangeable word in our
currently in our lexicon, because terrain is so vague and garbage. And
I think buildings also have data sheets apparently.
Fortifications were huge in 7th and 6th edition.
Yep.
Like there was a lot of exploits. With fortifications. So
I think they might make, like small ones.
Well, do we know what the fortification detachment looks like right now?
Let me find the detachment
I'm sure it's
section.
here.
Because that's a kind of a limiting factor in this new world order of CPs.
Patrol Battalion Brigade. So in our normal detachments, they do not have an icon for fortifications.
So there's fortification network.
Yeah, so there's that one. And then the auxiliary support does not have fortification.
Nope.
You literally have to pay, what does it say, 1 CP for a fortification network of 1 to 3. Yeah, so
that's not bad. Okay, that's totally reasonable. Yeah, I think that thinking of like, because remember we never even in 6th edition you never made a list that didn't have an Aegis defense wall.
Oh, actually,
hey, look at this command benefit.
Yeah, you can actually get it for free if every unit in this detachment is from the same faction.
As your warlord.
That faction is the same as your warlord.
So,
well, boom.
There we go.
So, we'll probably see some new stuff come out, like the little Dawn of War bunker and the dude on a
Imperial bunker was a big part of my game plan for a long time. Do you remember you could hold like 20 models, some shit?
The last cannon one was pretty popular too.
Yeah, the last cannon one with long fangs inside it, ruinous.
And the what the fuck? The Aegis wall?
Yeah, Aegis defense line was real popular at 6.
Everybody
very popular.
I remember
had
when
to have one. It was almost mandatory.
Yeah.
The only time I've ever seen a grown man like throw dice in a 40K game is we were playing a game at a GW store, and he had like 30 Space Marines inside of a little Aegis defense line box that he had made. And I was like, ooh, I have 3 basilisks with my death core. And I was like, 1, 2, 3. That's all 30. And he was like, okay, I'm going to roll my Aegis defense line save. I was like, no, these are barrage.
From the point
all of my shots were inside of that wall. You do not get saves. They just die. They all die. And he I can see the gears like just grinding in his brain and sparks coming out of his ears. And he picks up like all of his dice and like throws them on the ground. And he got kicked out for that. And I was like, God damn, dude. Like, it's just toy soldiers. It's not my fault you don't know how barrage works.
Oh, yikes. Man. It was... That's right, Lord Gunther. The defense line was one of the only ways you could tire flyers back in those days. Remember?
Yep.
It was
the Aegis cannon.
And remember, like a guy's specific set of special rules would apply when he was firing the gun.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody had like the Tyranids could take one over.
Remember, that's like kind of the first time that Contemptor Dreadnoughts became popular, because they were one of the Mortis Contemptor was one of the few units that had Skyfire for Space Marines.
Yep. Kind of a deal. So this is pretty. I'm stoked on this terrain details. We got to get in the habit of using the correct keywords, as you mentioned.
Ruins,
these attachments are looking icy. No flyer wing is what it looks like.
There's it's not listed.
Kind of interesting. Looks like they got rid of defensible positions, at least for now.
Prepared positions.
Prepared positions. Yeah.
Yeah, it depends.
That was kind of a band-aid anyway,
Right.
because terrain was broken.
Yeah, because in our little like section that we got for matched play, it does not show any stratagems that are unique to match play. It just shows like the order of operations for starting a game, scoring a game, secondary objectives, and the mission types, right? So I do think it is within the realm of possibility that we may see some stuff in that chapter approved Grand Tournament book. Let's see.
Yeah, that would be kind of interesting.
Yeah, because we have these match play missions, and then on the cover of that book, it also says like tournament missions. So we're probably going to get different tournament missions or more tournament missions to choose from. So we have like a huge roster of all these missions to do, and then probably some more like match play restrictions and that kind of stuff that goes hand in hand with like, okay, so now we have open play. And then we have narrative / crusade. And now we have match play. And that's like, match play is like sort of in the middle of like the casual to competitive scale. And then we have the Grand Tournament book, which is like firmly on the competitive side of that scale, which is going to have a bunch of stuff in it. So it's funny. We have the core rule book and we're still in wait and see mode. So I guess the joke's on us.
Shout out to Jaegerbomb throwing a $5 donation over on YouTube. Says my thermic reactor. We're talking about the galvanic thermal reactor here.
Yeah,
we all have one of those in our garage. This is pulsating with excitement. Didn't see Hammerfall coming. Any other surprises you think we'll see Saturday? I hope for jump packs.
Maybe that speeder's real.
One thing that we saw in the Andromeda stuff is Chaplain on bike.
Yep. But it said it came in the box. But then they're like, here's the box and here's the contents. It's coming out. So I'm like,
yeah. I'm like, are they going to pull a fast one? And like the Chaplain on bike is going to be in like the store shelf version of the 2-player starter kit and not the limited edition starter kit.
Usually the highest point has all the things in it.
Like at this point, I'm a little convinced that like there are going to be some models that are only available in that Indomitus box for a good long while. Like I would not be surprised if like that Captain or the Judiciaire is like only in that box.
Yep.
Truth.
Yeah. I don't know. There's still, I mean, they obviously have the audience. Like as long as stuff doesn't leak, like they can just keep spoon feeding out a little at a time. So we know there's probably going to be more Necrons. We know there's probably going to be more Marines. Like this stuff will be coming out for months.
Oh yeah,
months.
Man,
it's gonna be dope.
My fucking galvanic reactor is throbbing now.
If it throbs for more than 4 hours, you should consult.
What are they? I was gonna say. What do they say in Austin Powers? Like, if it lasts longer than 4 hours, like call more ladies.
Man, it's a lot. It's a lot to unpack, and so
it is a lot. Like, there's so much info dumped on us that. I mean, we weren't going to have time to just like word for word, have like story time, read through this rule book page for page. But there's some like really cool, interesting things. And then as we have more time to like actually sit down and read through all this to kind of read the rule book, so to speak, probably be able to talk a lot more about stuff.
I think we did a good job of like listing out some big changes coming to the game. And we still have an LVO tickets that go on sale.
Yep, June 3rd. Or wait,
29th.
Just happened. It just happened.
Yeah, so that's kind of a big deal. So we all kind of have something, the finish line of sight. We have rules popping off, and it's time to get passionate.
Yep. And I mean, like, if you show up with an unpainted armor, you're losing out on 10 victory points.
Just leaving them on the table.
Bang your shit.
Yeah, I'm not salty about that at all. I'm like, paint your stuff. Yeah. Like, they gave you all the tools. You can paint them crappy. They didn't say they have to be good. They just said
It's got to be battle ready standard.
Yep. Easy peasy. Contrast paints done.
I think there are 2 MVPs in 9th edition: magnets for your models and bullet points. That's
bullet
it.
points, dude. That
Bullet
is
points.
massive.
Yeah, bullet points
Massive.
really help.
And that's what we were missing before, because you had the word salad soup, right? And then
it's still there. If you read through,
that's still there. If you want to go and be.
Oh, I mean, like there is so much context in there. Like if you were only to read the bullet points, you would still basically have no idea how any of that. Shit.
But think of how much time you'll save just reading the bullet points if you need to, like, hey, I got this question. Oh, okay, there it is.
Yeah, for referencing, it's amazing. That's good.
And then if it goes beyond that, then you can go into the word salad and pull out your law degree and figure things out. If it please the court.
I will never read these rules. I will only read.
I like how they talked up like how the reason there was going to be more pages of rules was because they were going to put in diagrams and ways to help people. And there's like no diagrams for any of these interactions at all.
Fact.
See no schematics. Oh well. That's fun.
Look, word salad. So I mean that's a lot. And I think most people are going to be scheming, doing their thing, like messing around in Army Builder, reading things that are important to them, and then sharing those little nuggets. Because I think that's the best way information like this moves fast. Is like you look at something, you latch onto it because it directly affects your style of play, and then you share that with somebody else who shares their findings. Mm-hmm. That's occurring right now in the sphere.
And I mean, if you have this, like, I can't stress enough, like take 15 minutes out of your day and just read through the rule book. Don't be that guy who's like, I learned by playing, and then like still doesn't know core mechanics of the game 3 years later. Like, please.
I just read the bullet point.
That's me.
Please,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, please don't be that guy. Please, like, read the rule book.
There's the other factor too, why, of people like me who think things work that way. Right. And then it's like, well, what do you mean they don't work that way? You know what I mean?
Because you only read it.
Because I've got 6 editions of games in my head.
Every time, Mike, we learn a new edition of 40K, it's like learning another version of Latin. Right?
It really is.
It takes up all this space in your brain. You spent years learning it, like college course years mastering it. Like, and then it changes. It's no longer relevant. It's taking up valuable space. Like, I'm like, are we running out of hard drive space? Because I'm seriously concerned about this. Like, all the way back to the 90s, bro. I'm like, I mean, there cannot be unlimited space in this brain. It's impossible.
I recount this story of me and Mike Tester playing, and his son came up and looked at us, watched like a turn of us play, and went, "What are you guys doing?" And we were just like playing 40K. Like, what's up? He's like, none of what you just did is how it works. But what would happen is one of us would go, well, I'm going to do this. And we would remember that, yeah, that's a thing. Like, that happened. Well, it was 2 editions ago. You know what I mean? 2 editions ago, it did work that way, but not anymore. So it's like, yeah, you need to dig into that stuff.
Oh my God, it's a fact.
Haspil, take us out of here.
Well. If it isn't fat, stinking Billy Goat Billy Boy in Poison, how art thou globby bottle of cheap, stinking chip oil? Come and catch one in the yarbles, if you have any yarbles.